go! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my World Cup Qualifier predictions for UEFA. The draw has literally just been conducted. Definitely was a bit of a shock of a draw, as not every single group is necessarily confirmed. Technically, 75% of them is to be determined, as we have to wait to see what the outcome is for the Nations League quarterfinal matches. For example, in Group A, we already know Slovakia, Northern Ireland, and Luxembourg will have to face one another, but that pot 1 team is to be determined. For this group in particular, it's already been determined that it will be the winner of the matchup in the Nations League between Germany and Italy. So before we get into every single group, I'll give you all a brief prediction of where I think the rest of the teams will be placed. Between Germany and Italy, I do think Germany will win that head-to-head match, so I'm placing them in this group. Group B has already been decided with Switzerland, Sweden, Slovenia, and Kosovo. In Group C, we have Greece, Scotland, and Belarus confirmed, along with the loser between the matchup of Portugal and Denmark. I think Denmark will lose here. I'm placing them in this group. But now Group D will be either Croatia or France, whoever wins that match, Ukraine, Iceland, and Azerbaijan. I already know people are going to call me biased here and be upset with what I have to say, but I genuinely think Croatia will win this match. I'm not saying I think they'll win the whole Nations League. I just think they'll be able to beat France in the first round. In Group E, it's confirmed we'll have Turkey, Georgia, and Bulgaria face one another, and then either Spain or the Netherlands. Whoever wins that match, and I think it will be Spain. Group F is the winner between Portugal and Denmark, and I already predicted Denmark to lose this, so I am throwing in Portugal. They'll be with Hungary, Ireland, and Armenia. Group G is the defeated team between Spain and the Netherlands. I have Netherlands there, taking on Poland, Finland, Lithuania, and Malta. Group H is already confirmed with Austria, Romania, Bosnia, Cyprus, and San Marino. Group I, according to my predictions, will be Italy, Norway, Israel, Estonia, and Moldova. Group J is Belgium, Wales, Macedonia, Kazakhstan, and Liechtenstein. Group K is definitely the most shocking out of the draw. How are we getting Serbia and Albania playing each other once again? Hopefully no repeats from the Euro 2016 qualifiers, but it's already known they'll be joined with England, Latvia, and Andorra. And then in that last group, Group L, like I already said, I think France will take the L against Croatia, so I'm putting them there with Czechia, Montenegro, Faroe Islands, and Gibraltar. So yeah, those are all the groups we'll be using going into this prediction video. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to leave an early like. Let's try to hit 4,000 likes on this video, and subscribe if you're new, as there's a lot of other World Cup qualifier content coming. Alright, so let's start with Group A. Like I mentioned earlier, it's Germany, Slovakia, Northern Ireland, and Luxembourg. Of course, we could see a surprise in this group, but it seems to be a no-brainer that Germany will be the ones topping it. Obviously, throughout recent years, this side have thrown a lot of question marks, but after their Euro 2024 campaign, they seem to be truly back. Under Nagelsmann, they did get knocked out of the quarterfinals, but many still know that they were the second best team in the competition, as they did get knocked out to Spain in the quarterfinals, who were the eventual champions. And prior to that match, both these sides were looking to be the most informed countries in the competition. Of course, some veterans have said their goodbyes. Neuer, Müller, and Kroos are no longer in the squad, but there's no denying that the future is bright in this team when you got the likes of Musiala and Wirtz. I do think that they should top this group no problem. Now in second place, I'm going to throw in Slovakia. They also had a very impressive Euro 2024 campaign, nearly defeating England in the round of 16. But Jude Bellingham had to score a last-minute bicycle kick, sending the match to extra time, and Slovakia eventually got gassed out. Harry Kane scored as well. Prior to that, they also were able to defeat Belgium on the first match day. So this side have a very solid defensive plan going their way, and they do have some great quality players in the back line. The likes of Skriniar and Hansko are hard to beat, but I do think Slovakia will be one of the more dangerous teams going into the playoffs. Their manager Calzona has proved his worth, and also it's not just their back line, their midfield is a very underrated unit. Their most famous name Lobotka, but they have some other great options to their disposal. Now I won't be fully surprised if I'm wrong. I wouldn't rule out Northern Ireland just yet. I am going to put them at third though. Throughout recent years, this side have been going through some questionable times, but now they actually have a very exciting young generation on their hands. They also topped their Nations League group, getting some convincing victories like defeating Bulgaria 5-0. But I do think they need some more time for their youngsters to develop. Maybe in the future they could be a threat, but for now, I see them just falling short in this campaign. They were in the same group as Luxembourg in the Nations League campaign, and Luxembourg were looking really promising in the Euro qualifiers. Despite not qualifying at the end, they made it to the playoffs, but then in the last Nations League campaign, they absolutely disappointed. And I'm going to be putting this side, obviously, at 4th place. Very underrated names in this squad, their most famous one being Leandro Barreiro, but their manager Holtz overall has seemed to lose the plot. Overall, the team has recently seemed to lose confidence, so I definitely think they have what it takes to maybe sneak through to third, but second might be a bit of a stretch. Let's move on to Group B now. 3 countries starting with the letter S: Switzerland, Sweden, and Slovenia, along with Kosovo. This to me is a group of life. You can make cases for any of these countries, but I think the safest choice is to put Kosovo at 4th place. The other nations should not rule these guys out. They have some great individual players. One of the most informed ones at the moment is Zagrova. I used to have a lot more faith in these guys, but they were pretty disappointing in other qualifier campaigns, with some glimpses of hope at times. They definitely can throw off the other teams in this group, but I think at the end, they will still fall short. As with all the countries starting with the letter S, you can make great points for each one. Slovenia, for example, getting knocked out of the round of 16 in the Euros, but still did not lose a single match, as in the round of 16, they lost on penalties to Portugal. Their qualified campaign prior was great. We really got to see their striker Šeško shine, and they also have one of the greatest goalkeepers in the world. Sweden, on the other hand, their attack is looking like one of the most dangerous in Europe. When you got the likes of Gyökeres and Isak up top, along with Kulusevski, they've proven themselves in the Nations League that they are a serious threat. Gyökeres at the time of this recording is one of the top goal scorers in Europe, and even was the top goal scorer in the Nations League. Despite Sweden not qualifying for the last 2 major international tournaments, they changed their management, and I think they have every reason to be positive going into this campaign. Switzerland disappointed in the Nations League, finishing 4th, but they were in League A. But in the Euros, they made it to the quarterfinals, only to fall short to England on penalties. They also have an incredible goalkeeper in between the sticks. Xhaka is still with the national team and is a very passionate leader. We'll see if continuing to trust in Yakin is the right choice, but I definitely still would not rule them out. Maybe it's a bit bad to judge their Nations League results, as some countries just do not take the competition as seriously. But even in the Euro qualifiers, they did slip to the likes of Romania to not secure that 1st place spot. So you never know with this side. I will say that Sweden have what it takes to top this group, and they revived their form. Switzerland 2nd and Slovenia 3rd. Moving on to Group C with Denmark, Greece, Scotland, and Belarus. The only thing I feel certain about this group is placing Belarus at 4th place. The other countries in this group definitely have proven their worth more, and on paper are much better sides. The rest, though, is too hard to say and can really go any way possible. I've mentioned in previous videos, but I think Greece are showing a lot of signs of improvement. Only just missing out of qualifying for Euro 2024 due to losing that penalty shootout against Georgia. After they got a new manager, Ivan Jovanovic, who's only lost 1 match so far, and it was against England. And also, they did manage to beat England prior at Wembley. This manager has a great resume to his name, having one of the most underrated underdog runs in the Champions League competition, taking a club from Cyprus to the quarterfinals. And he's already familiar with Greek football, as prior to taking charge of the national team, he was the manager for Panathinaikos. You've got attackers like Pavlidis there, but also Tsolis from Club Brugge is really on the come up, and he's still only 22 years of age. Denmark just appointed a new manager, Brian Reimer. Only managed 2 matches so far, and in both they were not victorious, drawing with Serbia and losing to Spain. At the same time, though, it's hard to judge when you're coming up against Spain these days. There's so many great individual players on this team. The question is, will they unite well under this new management? Holjan, though, loves to score goals for fun for this national team. Hjulmand is one of Sporting's standout players. We can go on and on. Denmark are definitely the favorites to top this group, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's so sure. Scotland, like I mentioned, were great in the last Euro qualifier campaign. Going into 2024, I believe they were top of the group prior to them having to face Spain once again, as the first time they faced, Scotland were able to beat this side. Scott McTominay coming in clutch so many times for the national team, and now that he's left Manchester United, he's even proving himself very well at club level. The likes of Robertson and John McGinn are also difference makers for this team. Some gaps here and there in certain positions, but overall, I think that they are a threat, especially when they unify well. In 2024, they seem to be struggling in form, though. Statistically, they were the worst team at Euro 2024 when you look at goal difference and their win-to-loss ratio. And besides beating Gibraltar in a friendly, they only just picked up their first win all calendar year against Croatia. Very tough to pick an order here, but I'm going to go against what many would consider to be favorites. I'll put Greece at 1st place, Denmark 2nd, and Scotland 3rd. Group D now. I know most people are going to disagree with what I had to say about Croatia, but I do think they'll beat France, so they will be in this group with Ukraine, Iceland, and Azerbaijan. Might not even be the best outcome. You know, if they do lose to France, I think some people are arguing that that group would be easier to handle. But this one, I don't think is too bad. Ukraine's definitely going to be an obstacle. Iceland are not to underestimate, as we saw in the World Cup 2018 qualifiers. Definitely a different team back then, but still, they topped that World Cup qualifier group. They have still shown that they're an underrated bunch. They got some high-scoring results going their way in the Euro qualifier playoffs, despite not qualifying at the end. I would not be surprised to see Croatia slip to them in one of the match days, as Croatia just randomly slip when unexpected in qualifier campaigns. Even if they are the favorites on paper, They are called the Cardiac Croatians for a reason. At the end of it all though, I am still saying that they finished first place to automatically qualify for the World Cup. The only World Cup Croatia has missed since becoming independent was 2010. And as we know, in the last 2 tournaments, they finished 3rd place or higher. So I'm not going to rule my nation out. There is a lot of speculation about Zlatko Dalic, if he's the right man for the job these days. Whatever the opinion is, there's no denying his incredible resume. Yes, it's an aging squad, and he's utilizing on a lot of players that you can argue don't deserve to be in the starting 11. At the end of it all though, I think they will find their way and book their tickets to North America. Ukraine have proven that they are still a top side, but they have been very unfortunate in 2024, finishing last place in their Euro group, the first ever team to finish 4 points at the bottom, as every side in that group shared the same amount of points. And then the Nations League, definitely an intriguing group, but they did fall short to second there. Some of their great talents though have been slightly declining in form, for example Zinchenko, and even their striker Dovbyk, who transferred to Roma, and that club has seemed to be all over the place this season. They're definitely still a talented bunch, and on paper look to be like one of the more complete sides. Form is temporary, so they definitely can throw off Croatia, but I'm going to be putting them at 2nd place, meaning I'm going to put Iceland at 3rd and Azerbaijan 4th. Iceland in some of their fixtures just randomly turn up scoring loads of goals, but I still think they have a bit of a defensive problem, especially when they come up against sides that look to be challenging on paper, besides England. Moving on to Group B with Spain, Turkey, Georgia, and Bulgaria. Unfortunately, I think Bulgaria are cooked. I think they're getting 4th place, but I still think they have what it takes to stir up this group. And Bulgaria's manager, Ilyan Iliev, has only lost 1 match so far. It was that 5-0 thrashing to Northern Ireland, but still quite interesting. At the same time though, they did draw 8 matches while only winning 3. I do think it's the safest bet to put this side at 4th place. What I think will happen is, although they are finishing 4th place, they will get loads of draws, which will definitely halt some of these teams from potentially automatically qualifying. Now I gotta say, I feel bad for Georgia. I genuinely thought this was their perfect opportunity to make their debut at the World Cup. They have been so impressive lately, and although these other countries should not rule them out, Spain have already battered them on multiple occasions in the Euro qualifiers and the actual Euro tournament. Turkey also proved their worth against them at the Euro tournament in the group stage. It's the only side in the group stage that was able to beat them. Turkey to me will be one of those danger teams in the playoffs. Very unpredictable side, but they have a new upcoming young generation that can definitely flourish. The likes of Arda Güler and Kenan Yildiz, who are definitely some of the most exciting youngsters in the scene. This side love their attacking football and are definitely prone to slipping when they just shouldn't be. We saw it in the Nations League not too long ago. On the last match day against Montenegro, they blew their chance to secure 1st place in their group. Maybe one of the times they face Georgia head-to-head, Georgia can get a result against them, but I do think Turkey will finish 2nd at the end, while Georgia get 3rd, and I'm putting Spain at 1st. Obviously. The Euro winners, and some are claiming that they could be the favorites to win this World Cup. Luis de la Fuente made this side look like the best at the Euro tournament as well. Also like Turkey, some young players on the rise, the most notable one, Lamine Yamal. Spain have just shown that no matter how this draw would have panned out for them, given the pots, they would have been easy favorites to get 1st place. Moving on to Group F with Portugal, Hungary, Ireland, and Armenia. Portugal without a doubt are the easy favorites, given their squad on paper. Given their manager who loves qualifier campaigns, Martinez has proven it countless times with Belgium and now the Portugal national team. In those Euro qualifiers, Portugal were one of the most outstanding teams given the record they set. Even in the Nations League, we're still seeing Ronaldo scoring extraordinary goals. But there's so many incredible players surrounding him. They were a bit questionable in the Euros, I gotta say. I was expecting them to score more goals in that competition. They really only had a fantastic attacking display against Turkey. But in qualifier campaigns, this side have what it takes to prove their worth. Easy 1st place for me. Now, who's securing that playoff spot? I gotta say, Armenia have definitely been very much of a mess. They sacked the Ukrainian manager Alexander Petrokov after the country's poor performances in the Nations League. Despite finishing 2nd in their group, the point difference from them and Macedonia was too much. We'll see how they progress going forward, but I think it's gonna be 4th place for them. Now, between 2nd and 3rd, I think it's gonna be close. Most people are going to be favoring Hungary though. They did slightly disappoint in the Euro tournament after so many people said that they would be the dark horse. They were on an unbeaten streak until the friendlies prior to the tournament, and one of their friendlies scheduled was against Ireland, where they lost. Regardless, the nation is still backing Marco Rossi from his previous achievements. This side have not qualified for a World Cup in so long though, and they're one of the most unfortunate countries to not actually win the tournament, as back in the day, they're one of the best sides in the world. Their main player in the spotlight is without a doubt Szoboszlai from Liverpool. Their center back Orban can provide a lot of experience, but he also was one of the guilty members of that Leipzig side to play in all of 6 matches in the Champions League and lose each one at the time of this recording. Judging off of the Nations League results, I definitely think it could have been better. Yes, they were in a difficult group, but they got battered once by the Netherlands and Germany, both times when they had to travel away. Meanwhile, Ireland in the Nations League definitely on paper were not in as difficult of a group, but they still lost to Greece head-to-head twice and got destroyed by England on the last match day. They were able to defeat Finland head-to-head twice, but they were both narrow results. There's no denying though that we are waiting for this side to kind of evolve their golden generation of players. They have a phenomenal goalkeeper, one of the best backup goalkeepers right now in the Premier League, Kelleher. Troy Parrott has been getting some solid numbers for Alkmaar this season. Evan Ferguson has somewhat left the spotlight as he's not starting so much in the Premier League, but still he's very young. Do you know what? I think anything's possible in this group. I think Ireland might be able to sneak through to that second place spot. They've already proven themselves recently against Hungary as well. Now we move on to the groups of 5, starting off with Group G. We have the Netherlands, Poland, Finland, Lithuania, and Malta. I'll give my thoughts quick on this one. I think we'll finish in this exact order. Malta and Lithuania are definitely the weakest ones in this group. Finland definitely are not looking to be in convincing times. Their long-term manager Kanerva has finally stepped down, so it really is to be determined what we see out of this side. But I still think Poland and the Netherlands are too tough of opponents. The Netherlands are one of the strongest teams in Europe on paper without a doubt, but I'm still not fully convinced Koeman is the perfect man for the job. Regardless, I think he definitely still has what it takes to top this group, given what he has on paper. And you know what? This country still made it to the semifinals of Euro 2024. That being said, they finished 3rd place in their group. I would say that the only convincing result they got throughout the entire tournament was against Romania in the round of 16. Everything else was cut a bit too close, and given the quality they have on paper for the back line, I expect a bit better from this side. Poland also have a defensive problem. They haven't kept a clean sheet in 11 matches at the time of this recording. Poland and the Netherlands were already in the same Euro 2024 group, where Netherlands just got the best of them on the first match day. Poland put off pretty good fights throughout in that tournament, but still got grouped at the end. And their qualifier campaign was definitely questionable, as they failed to get a win against Moldova. That being said, they cycled through managers. Probier seems to be a bit more solid now, but after this Nations League campaign, I don't know what to think of them since they did finish bottom. It was Ligue A, but at the same time, they could have proved themselves against Scotland. The squad's definitely changing as well. Lewandowski is only getting older. Szczesny is already retired internationally. Still definitely one of the better teams in this group. I just think that they will go into the playoffs instead of automatically qualifying. Let's move on now to Group H. This is an incredible group, as we're going to be seeing at least one of these countries qualify for the World Cup in quite a long time. Bosnia is the latest team in this group to play in the World Cup in 2014. Austria and Romania have not played since 1998, and Cyprus and San Marino have obviously never qualified for the tournament. Austria and Romania, I think, are looking to be the most confident in this group. It's going to be an interesting race to see which one of them tops it. Also, although I don't have too much faith in them to elevate in the standings, I would like to see San Marino get another competitive win. Could they beat Cyprus? I think it might be a bit too tough, so I'm going to say that the bottom 3 finishes as San Marino last place, Cyprus second to last, and Bosnia in 3rd. It's hard to judge Bosnia's recent form under their new manager, as Babadas has only been at the helm since the Nations League campaign, and their group was very difficult as they were in Ligue A. But they had one of the heftiest defeats in the competition. We talked about Lewandowski only getting older, but an even more bigger case for that is Edin Dzeko. I love this guy. I think he's one of the most underrated strikers in the world, but he's already 38. Regardless, they still have some other exciting options in the attack, like Demirovic, who's been very solid for Stuttgart. In the defense, they have Amar Dedic, but unfortunately, they will not be having Ahmet Hodzic anymore, as he did retire from the national team due to some mix-ups in the FA in regards to his father. I really hope I'm wrong about Bosnia. This is the side I want to see top this group. And you know what, they have what it takes, but I do think in recent times, Austria and Romania have more to prove. Both these countries actually qualified for the Euro 2024 tournament, while Bosnia were second to last in their qualifier group, and in a pretty easy one as well. Austria topped their Euro 2024 group over France and the Netherlands, one of the deadliest groups in the competition. They did get knocked out to Turkey though, so you know what, I would not be surprised if Romania kind of throws some tactical game to throw off the Austrians. Regardless, I really love to see what Ralf Rangnick is doing with this country. He's getting the best of them as a unit and taking advantage of that underrated midfield they have. Romania in the Euros we saw love to play some defensive football, and they have some great quality players for their back line. But now they have appointed Lucescu, who actually was managing this nation in the 80s. He's already almost 80 years old, he's been in the game for some time, and he has an incredible resume. Definitely can prove his worth, but it's a bit hard to judge Romania's recent matches as they were in League C of the Nations League, and their group definitely looked a bit easy. Romania in the Euro qualifiers also caught their group off guard, topping Switzerland in it. They were able to grab loads of clean sheets. I really would not be surprised if they throw Austria off here, but I am going to play it safe. I think Austria are a very, very strong side, and they will be victorious over Romania by the end at least. Maybe they will beat each other once head-to-head, but in terms of the points, I think Austria have what it takes to overall get more wins. So I'm going to put them at first, Romania second. Let's move on to Group I with Italy, Norway, Israel, Moldova, and Estonia. Will Italy fail to qualify for 3 World Cups in a row? They definitely should not take Norway lightly. Norway haven't qualified for a major international tournament since 2000, but Holland will be fueled to finally qualify for the World Cup. And Italy in the last World Cup qualifier campaign fell short to second place to Switzerland. Then they got knocked out to Macedonia in the playoffs, as most of us know. I wasn't fully convinced with their Euro performances. I think both them and Croatia were a tad bit disappointing, but I think it's nice that they're giving Spalletti more time. He definitely deserves it. They have some informed strikers. Retegui has been on fire in the City out for Atalanta. Some of the best defenders, Bastoni, Di Marco. I still think they're one of the most complete teams, especially in this group. I still think that they will finish first place. Norway are still showing their inconsistencies under Solbakken. Over the Nations League, they scored a lot of goals, but also they lost to Austria 5-1. However, they bounced back very, very well, scoring 9 goals in total in the next 2 matches. They definitely have what it takes to catch Italy off guard, but for me, they are the perfect type of playoff team to finish second place. Now, Israel shouldn't be ruled out of this group, but I think it's safe to put them at third. In their deadly Nations League group, they put off some great fights, including drawing to France and beating Belgium on the last 2 match days. Maybe their standards are a bit elevated now that they had to face so many tough opponents, and their manager Ron Ben Shimon is definitely promising. However, I'm still going to keep them at third, and I'll put Moldova at fourth, Estonia 5th, as Moldova had a very impressive campaign in the last Euro qualifiers. Despite not qualifying at the end, they went toe-to-toe with some of the best national teams in that group, including defeating Poland, as most of us know. So you know what, maybe they'll even surprise, but I'm going to keep it safe and keep it at this order. Moving on to Group J, we have Belgium, Wales, North Macedonia, Kazakhstan, and Liechtenstein. Belgium, without a doubt, have gotten a very favorable draw, but this national team at the moment are a bit of a mess, having emergency meetings to sack Tedesco, as the chemistry within the team is not at its peak form. Even at the World Cup prior to him joining, under Martinez, it was just all over the place. Some of their players look uninspired. Courtois is already retired internationally just because he's been fed up. Their defensive options definitely look weaker compared to before, but their attack is absolutely dangerous. So if they don't fix things soon, I would not be surprised to see them slip to second place. But I think they will sort things out. This isn't a long time from now, so I'm going to keep them at first. If any of those other teams do shock to get that first place spot, I think the best choice is Wales. I'll be putting them at second. They just topped their Nations League group undefeated and only just missed out of qualifying for Euro 2024 due to losing a penalty shootout against Poland. No bail, no problem for this nation. Brennan Johnson and Harry Wilson could definitely capitalize on Belgium's shaky defensive situation. Now, of course, I'm going to be rooting for Macedonia in this group to push through, and you know what? They should be confident. In the Nations League, they topped their group in very convincing fashion, 5 wins and 1 draw. And let's not forget their impressive World Cup qualifier campaign last time around, where, like I mentioned, they defeated Italy in the playoffs. And even getting to the playoffs for them was a massive achievement. They got very unlucky to have to face Portugal in the second round. These guys can impress themselves, so it would be cool to see them and Wales take first and second, but again, playing it safe, they're probably going to finish third. And you know what? I feel bad not talking about Kazakhstan at all. Their Euro qualifier campaign was insane, going neck and neck with all those teams, just falling short to 4th place. I want to believe in them, but since then, they have seemed to lose their spirits. They got annihilated by Greece in the Euro qualifier playoffs, and in the Nations League, they failed to grab a single win. They will put off good fights, but at the end, I think they're falling short to 4th. And of course, that means Liechtenstein 5th, the only country to lose to San Marino. Yeah, no other explanation is needed. This group right here is absolutely insane that UEFA let it through. We have England, Serbia, Albania, Latvia, and Andorra. They should have learned that putting Serbia and Albania in the same group is an absolute mistake. Of course, there are many respectful fans from both of these nations, but at the actual match, we're not going to really be seeing that if they do not play behind closed doors. Look what happened last time for the Euro 2016 qualifiers. A drone of Greater Albania was flown over the stadium in Belgrade. Once a Serbian player pulled it down and Albanian players tried to tussle it off him, all hell broke loose. I made a video not too long ago even talking about this whole situation if you want to check it out, and conveniently, a month or so later, the match is confirmed to happen once again. But yeah, it's insane to say that no matter what happens, we could be seeing some sort of repeat in terms of the result from the Euros 2016 qualifiers. Albania were awarded a 3-0 victory in that match, and Serbia got a 3-point deduction. So maybe one of these side sets of fans can just ruin the qualification process for them. Albania ended up qualifying for that Euro tournament, while Serbia heavily fumbled because that point deduction really just ruined things for them. But let's talk for this prediction video as if the fans will completely behave and nothing will go wrong, because that's definitely possible. Serbia have some great individual players, and they really should be excelling more given their standards. Mitrovic scoring loads of goals in the Saudi League. Dusan Vlahovic is definitely one of the better strikers in Europe. Incredible attacking options. They seem to be a bit lacking in the defense, but over the Euros they did impress in that factor. However, they are still sticking with Pixie, who's been there for some time, achieved great heights with this national team in terms of qualifying for tournaments, but once he's at the actual tournament, things do not go to plan. In the World Cup 2022, he played a very solid attacking game, but poor defensively, and it was the exact opposite in Euro 2024. There's definitely something fishy going on behind the scenes, as one of their veterans, Dusan Tadic, retired internationally, pretty much making it public that he does not get along with him. I'm honestly not fully convinced in Pixie anymore. I previously was, but he pretty much let me down in my predictions. I thought Serbia would be one of the dark horses at the World Cup. Albania, it's kind of a different story. Their manager Solvinho is definitely to be trusted. He's playing some fantastic football with his national team, and has just been unfortunate in the draws, like the Euro 2024 group he was put in. With Spain, Italy, and Croatia, it was obviously going to be tough, and they put off good fights throughout. In the Nations League as well, not the easiest group to handle, and they still picked up wins against Georgia and Ukraine. Very underrated and passionate players. Right now, Slovenia is taking advantage of that passion and actually having them perform wonderfully on the pitch. They were scoring banger after banger in the Euro qualifiers, topping that group as well. You can't argue that it wasn't the most difficult group, but still, neither was Serbia's in their Euro qualifier campaign. In fact, when Serbia did qualify for their first ever Euro tournament as an independent nation, fans weren't really that thrilled because the performances were just too questionable. It's definitely going to be one of those two to end up getting that playoff spot. I think England are guaranteed first place. Say what you want about them in actual tournaments, but usually in the qualifier campaigns, this side pull through, and they definitely have the quality to defeat every single one of these teams. With Tuchel in charge as well, I'm expecting big things for the England national team. We'll see what happens in North America, but I think they basically got their ticket secured. Andorra, I think, will definitely finish at the bottom, and Latvia at 4th place. Latvia is a very underrated side that I think can catch Serbia or Albania off guard. Maybe they'll be able to sneak some draws against them, but I still think 4th place is safe. Who to decide for 2nd or 3rd? I genuinely think it's a coin toss. Definitely arguments for both sides. Albania definitely is more confident in their management, but Serbia on paper look to be quite a deadly side in certain departments. In a perfect world, I would love to see both these sides get 1st and 2nd, but there's just no way that's going to happen with England in this group. One of them's getting playoffs though, and I'm going to say it's Serbia, who finished 2nd place. Albania falls short to 3rd. It really is a coin toss though, and I'm not fully set on that prediction. It definitely could change. Albania are not to be underestimated. But the final group we're looking at, Group L, which could be either France or Croatia, but I'm putting France to take on Czechia, Montenegro, the Faroe Islands, and Gibraltar. Will we see France score another insane amount of goals against Gibraltar? Probably. I'm definitely putting them at last place. The Faroe Islands can easily put off some good fights here. They never lost to Armenia in the Nations League, which is pretty impressive. They could frustrate some of these teams, but I'm going to put them at 4th, and Montenegro at 3rd. Crna, despite being Turkey on the last match day of the Nations League, still finished last place of the group. Maybe we can see Krstovic score some more hat-tricks, but for now I think they will slightly struggle in this group, as Czechia definitely have been showing their flaws, but overall they should be handling this group just fine to at least secure a playoff spot. I'm putting them at 2nd, and France obviously 1st. Czech Republic fell short to last place in their Euro 2024 group. Definitely a disappointing tournament, but you got the likes of Patrick Schick getting injured halfway through. It took them some time to recover their first match in the Nations League. They got destroyed by Georgia, but later on they did not pick up a single loss after. France easily at 1st, although I underestimated them against Croatia. I still think this side have the most quality in this group by far. At the Euros, they made it to the semifinals, but failed to score a lot of goals. You can say their defensive efforts were brilliant, and they were, but I still somewhat think Deschamps has lost it, as he seems to have some problems with certain players in the dressing room. In the last international break, for example, he refused to take Mbappe. Mbappe has had a questionable season so far, sure, but still, that's one of his best players that's proven it time and time again for the team. No matter the situation though, I think France should definitely be handling a group like this. Their toughest opponent on paper, Czech Republic, shouldn't necessarily be the most threatening for them. I think it still will be a comfortable first place finish, but we shall see. Anyway guys, those are all of my World Cup qualifier predictions for UEFA. They're very early though. I will probably do an updated video once we do know where each of those pot 1 teams that are still in the Nations League quarterfinals will actually place. So don't forget to subscribe for that, along with a lot of other World Cup qualifier content. I will see you all very, very soon. As always, let me know your predictions in the comments below. Take care. La con noche.